This week found us gazing up in awe at an ancient Roman aqueduct that brought water 19 kilometers to the city. Marveling at the Nympheum in Sagalassos, and scrambling up the steps for a view from the cheap seats at Aspendos Theater.
Good morning. I'm Jill.
I'm Terry.
And we're traveling around in our self-converted van, Tumbleweed.
And with our wonder dog, Turkiye.
I'd like to show you on the map where we went this week. We started out here in Dimre, and we came along here. From Antalya, we traveled up here, all along here, to the ancient city of Sagalassos. From Sagalassos, we backtracked along here and then went up to the city of Burdur so we could see the statues and sculptures that they'd saved from Sagalassos. Then we came back down along here, cut across, went down this valley, putzed along, came over to the ancient city and aqueduct of Aspendos. Good morning. This lovely rainy morning finds me in Dimre, Turkey. And we came here to see the Church of St. Nicholas and the ancient ruins of the city of Myra. Come on, Toki. But the admission price to the church is 17 euro a head. And to me, that's just a tad extortionate, I think. So I'm going to give it a miss. They are trading in icons. But what they don't realize is that I just get gifted all the icons I can possibly need. This is the Church of St. Nicholas. And there he is done up in his Santa Claus manifestation, which is a little bit odd. The Church of St. Nicholas. He was originally buried there, and then the Italians came along and stole him and took him to Bari. So here I am at the icon shop. Also owned by a Muslim guy. He told me that if the icons have a blue background, they were made in Italy, predominantly in Bari. And that is pertinent because we are commemorating St. Nicholas here, and the Italians came along, I don't know when, long ago. So St. Nicholas was like 4th century. The Italians came along at some point after he had died and been interred in the church over there. The Italians came along and stole the remains and took them back to Bari, Italy.
During a break in the downpour, we decided to walk up and see the ancient city of Myra. The city was home to a Lycian culture, as you can tell by these rock-cut tombs. It also became Greek and then Roman. While it was Greek, St. Nicholas was the bishop of the city. Maybe we were bad tourists, but we didn't really explore the city. Just didn't want to scramble around in a torrential downpour. This would be beautiful coastline if we could see it, but we're just not scoring with the weather guy.
I'm at Sagalassos Antique City, and you will notice it's a bit cloudy and foggy behind us. We checked the weather before we drove up the mountain, and it said 10 degrees and partly sunny. And here we are, it's 1 degree, and you can see
cloudy and foggy.
Cloudy and foggy. But we're off to explore anyway, because why not? So, we'll take you along with us. Here we are at the remains of the baths. The baths and the gymnasium. Somebody analyzed the poop from the latrines, and they didn't find many parasites. So they surmised from that public health and safety was observed here.
This is the nymphium, kind of an ancient water feature.
You know, the Venetians, when they built their country villas, would mimic nymphiums. I'm really amazed here. I'm standing in front of a bunch of pieces and parts of various temples and buildings, stuff that would be in a museum in other countries. But here, it's just sort of left for someone to put the jigsaw pieces back together. It's one of their public squares down below, an agora, like a marketplace, and they had a good view out over the plains below them. A chair to perch on. I don't know anything about it, but I'm perching. Although frankly, it's too cold to perch. One must keep moving.
What an amazing place. It's been fun wandering around it. Gives you a real sense of maybe what it was like to be here when it was an active city. It's been a little bit treacherous because there's snow and ice on the ground. Certain spots are a little bit slick, but it's still been a lot of fun and very, very evocative.
This is an interesting thing. It's a portion of a column, but you can see the little holes cut in it, and that's where they put the tenons, the little pieces that would connect the various parts of the columns together. And I read that here they use stone and not wood. Maybe because they had such a bigger supply of stone, I don't know. So Sagalassos is a ruin, and it was finally abandoned, I think, around the 7th century. And it stayed in such good shape, I think, because it's so isolated. It's on a mountain in the middle, basically, of nowhere. But they didn't have the best of luck, because, I don't know, along about the 500s, they had themselves an earthquake and things toppled down. But they managed to rebuild, and then they had themselves a plague that wiped out, I think they said, like 50% of the people. I might be wrong about that. And then the Arabs came and raided them. And if that wasn't enough insult, they had another earthquake about 200 years after the first one. And after that one, they said, Uncle. They said, I'm moving down off this mountaintop. But they had themselves quite a city while they lived here. Got a bunch of goats. Goats. Good morning. It's a little bit warmer today. I do not have on 4 layers. Well, yesterday when we toured the beautiful antique city of Sagalassos, we noticed that a lot of the sculptures and statues had been removed to a museum in Burdur. So we came here and we're off to see the museum this morning. Had a lovely little sleep here beside the lake. Did I mention that some of the statues were big? Terry, for reference, he comes up to about right above their knee. This is Marcus Aurelius. Yesterday, we saw a picture of where they found his head at Sagalassos. Terry's got himself a big head, but this is like 3 times the size of his head. This is Dionysus and a satyr, they say. He's from the 2nd century AD as well, and he was hanging out at the Nymphium, where the water was running yesterday. Nemesis, who turns out to be the goddess of divine justice and vengeance. I had no idea that so many of these words, like nemesis, originated in a god. So we found the dried fruits and nuts store. Wish you could smell it. It smells fantastic. It's happy here because I found dried pumpkin seeds, which I love. Over here we have the famous Turkish delight. Look at that. Here we have the aqueduct. This aqueduct is an engineering marvel. It's Roman and it's from the 2nd century AD. It transported water from the northern hills over 19 kilometers to the city. It was built by Marcus Aurelius and was noted for having huge arches and using massive limestone blocks. It met its end at an earthquake, like so many of these ancient ruins did. This is what we woke up to this morning, the view out the front windshield. It's ranking right up there with the ancient city of Miletus and waking up to the hot air balloon. And we're off to the ancient city of Aspendos and its famous theater. Well, that was interesting. I don't know that I've driven under an aqueduct before. There's where we paid for our camping. We paid for it by buying juice. I'm guessing they can't legally rent the land, but they can legally sell juice. So there you go. This is the outside, reconstructed, of the entrance to the theater at Aspendos. So let's go see what's inside. Unlike every single other antique theater that we have visited, this one has the stage wall, and it is reconstructed, I would have to say, because it's just a little too perfect, and those blocks are mortared, unlike back in the day when they were unmortared. This theater is used to this day for performances and concerts and spectaculars. And if you can see from the stairs, I think it might serve you well to pay more for the expensive seats down low.
Here we are at the ancient theater of Aspendos. It's quite an impressive structure.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are sitting in the VIP seating, given that the stairs are very steep and have absolutely no handrails in sight, that if you're going to come here for a concert or a production or theater or whatever, you should fork out for the expensive seats, because I think it would be a much more impressive experience. I don't think you should whisper secrets in the theater. You might be overheard.
By a few thousand people.
About my earlier statement about sitting in the expensive seats, I think I have to modify that a bit. There seems to be a pretty good view from everywhere, so really, you might not need to fork out for the expensive seats. Well, here's a view from the top. You can see over the wall to a beautiful little range of mountains over there. And through that space over there, you can see the seas of greenhouses that this area is covered with. I'm walking around whatever you call the access lane at the top of the theater. It also has been rebuilt. I think the whole thing was extensively rebuilt. But it's kind of cool to see, these old theaters still in use. I tried to find the sweet spot, the resonant spot on the floor of the stage, but I never got that sensation of it reverberating back into my ears like I did at Miletus, or like in Epidaurus in Greece. You meet just anybody up here.
Yeah, they do.
They let anybody in.
I know. They let me in. Boy, that took some talking.
Thank you for watching our adventures at Sagalassos and Aspendos Theater. I hope it felt like you were there, and if it did, please give us a like and consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you for watching, and join us next time as we continue our explorations of Turkey.